private jets, imported caviar and designer cigarettes, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has got it all. But while the 34-year-old lives a life of extravagant luxury, the majority of the population are struggling to survive. Read on to discover the shocking disparity between the leader and his people, from food to entertainment. While local alcohol is cheap and readily available, it clearly isn't to Kim's taste. Instead, he reportedly spends thousands of dollars each year on importing liquors into the country for his elite circles. In 2016 the leader spent $33,000, £25,599, on American spirits, preferring the more expensive kinds such as Hennessy, which can cost up to $2,145, £1,664, for the best bottle. He also spent $95,394, £74,000, on German wine. Kim spares no expense when it comes to his diet. He's been known to order in top-quality pork from Denmark, caviar delivered from Iran, Chinese melon, and steaks of Kobe beef, a Japanese delicacy. He even managed to spend a whopping $921,712, £715,000, on Brazilian coffee alone in 2016. While the exact figure he spends on feeding himself and his inner circle the best cuisine in the world is not known, the sum is estimated to be in the millions. Meanwhile, the rest of the population get by on extremely meager rations. In August 2015, for example, the daily allowance per person was just 250 g of cereals, less than half the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization recommendation for rations. Protein, apart from the occasional piece of dried fish or squid, is in very short supply, and most people are either chronically undernourished or malnourished. When you've got billions, it's not likely that you'll be found at your local store asking for the cigarettes from behind the counter. And that's the case with Kim Jong-un, who has been known to splash out on French Yves Saint Laurent cigarettes, which sell for $44, £34, per pack. The accompanying leather case costs $165, £128. Most people will only ever dream of owning a yacht, but Kim Jong-un is the proud owner of a 200-foot yacht that was described by his friend former U.S. basketball player Dennis Rodman as a cross between a ferry and Disney boat. The top-of-the-line Princess yacht is kitted out with a Fendi interior and is valued at a cool $8 million, £6.2 million. The vast majority of the North Korean population are barred from making international calls, despite the fact that the country has 94% mobile phone coverage. All calls are strictly vetted by the authorities, and those wishing to call loved ones outside of the country opt to travel to the border and use smuggled-in Chinese mobile phones, according to an Amnesty International report. https://www.amnesty.org/n/latest/campaign/2016/03/ North Korea connection denied/. North Koreans have access to Kwangmyong, a domestic intranet that also allows email. No one is allowed to access the internet as we know it, meaning that their access to information and the outside world is very narrow. According to defector Hye Young-soo Kim, pictured, Kim Jong-un has established a longevity institute of 130 doctors to keep him healthy. The leader is known for his unhealthy lifestyle, indulging in a rich diet and smoking heavily since his teens. The doctors are tasked with maintaining his health, preventing diabetes and cardiovascular problems. Apparently, researchers had to spy on overweight foreigners as North Korea's starving population provided very few specimens for comparison. A damning report by Amnesty International has revealed the extreme decline of the North Korean healthcare system. Horrifying details of unsterilized needles and unwashed sheets in hospitals, and the best care going to those who can pay, mean that life for people in North Korea is in stark contrast to that of their well-protected leader. In fact, this is the case from birth, and the country has a very high infant mortality rate of 24.5 deaths per 1,000 births according to CIA World Factbook. It is believed that Kim has been married to Ri Solju since 2009 and has been known to spend state funds on buying her precious gifts like the Christian Dior handbag she's been spotted with. Costing $1,457, £1,130, in the region's shopping centers, the bag comes close to trumping the annual income of the average North Korean, which was estimated to be a meager $1,800, £1,396, in 2014. As well as gifts for his wife, it has been reported that Kim Jong-un spent $3.5 million, £2.7 million, on lingerie for his pleasure squad in 2016. Importing suspenders and corsets from China, Kim kitted out the wives and girlfriends of his elite, as well as his secret group of hand-picked women known as Pleasure Squad. The women are chosen for their beauty, and enter into a period of sexual slavery. Of course, somebody who spends this much money on gifts doesn't just settle for a couch and a TV to enjoy his massive film collection. He has his very own private luxury cinema that has a 1,000-seat capacity and is likely to have cost hundreds of thousands. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the population earn next to nothing and have no special ration privileges. Many people bribe officials so they can moonlight in their spare time, say on a food stall or in a clandestine factory, to earn an extra $10 to $40, £7 to £31, a month on average, which is still barely enough to survive. Although the development of this $35 million, £27.1 million, Mosikryong ski resort is supposedly to build up North Korea's tourism industry, the fact that Kim is a big fan of the sport is certainly likely to be a contributing factor. According to the Daily Mail, the resort is described by Kim himself as impeccable, boasting wood cabin rooms, a spa, restaurant, and 70 miles, 110 kilometers, of ski slopes. While it might seem like fun and games on the slopes to Kim, a report found that thousands of men, women, and children are working in blizzard conditions using pickaxes and makeshift shovels to keep the ski resort open. The report claimed that children as young as 11 or 12 have to carry out backbreaking work every day. There's not one definitive answer to the question, where does Kim Jong-un live? That's because he has a staggering 17 palaces scattered throughout the state to choose from, and even his own private island. Most North Koreans make do with poorly maintained houses or tenement apartment blocks with very little in the way of creature comforts or basic utilities such as central heating or running water. Many people have to collect firewood in order to cook or heat their homes, and fetch water from public faucets. Kim is rarely seen during public appearances without one of his many luxury watches adorning his wrist. The Telegraph newspaper has stated that his personal collection costs upwards of $8.2 million, £6.4 million. However, in 2016 the Swiss government made his hobby a little more difficult, banning exports of luxury watches to North Korea. Typically, people have one piano in their homes. Kim, the king of excess, boasts a collection of over 3 dozen pianos, according to Time, which can cost up to $64,451, £50,000, each for top-of-the-line models. Consumerism is almost non-existent away from the capital. With very little disposable income, most North Koreans spend any extra cash they earn on food for their families. Even if they did have the money to spend, there are very few black market stores outside Pyongyang in which to splash the cash. It's not only his wife Ri that enjoys the generous presents that Kim gifts. Apparently it pays off to be on the good side of the leader, with 160 of his high-ranking officials all receiving top-of-the-line Mercedes-Benz sedans back in 2010, generous gifts that are likely to have cost him a hefty $11.7 million, £9.1 million. Most North Koreans fall into one of 3 disadvantaged social statuses or lower castes, which range from basic and complex to the ominous hostile. These people are banned from living in the capital and receive no special privileges such as additional rations or cell phone permits. Insiders say the Songbin system is based on 2 factors, your current position in society and your family's history, both in terms of its social position and its loyalty to the country's leadership. The Telegraph reports that the textbooks taught in North Korean schools apparently claim that Kim was a child prodigy who learned how to drive at the tender age of 3. Highly unlikely, but what is true is that he has quite an impressive garage. It's been reported that he owns up to 100 cars after beginning to collect them at a very young age. His favorite brand is Mercedes-Benz. It's no secret that Kim is not only feared but also disliked by a large majority of the repressed citizens of his country. This is likely the reason why he felt a need to invest in an armored car for state visits. The luxury, customized Benz S600 is valued at a cost of $1.7 million, £1.32 million, due to the protection tech it's equipped with. Kim recently gave an inside glimpse at his newly revamped private jet aptly named Air Force One, a punny reference to the United States presidential aircraft, Air Force One. Having added luxurious touches like crystal ashtrays and leather couches, the new look is a lot more lavish than the plane's previously clinical interior and is likely to have cost him around $1.5 million, £1.2 million. Having a custom-fitted private jet simply wasn't enough for the North Korean leader. After vamping up his jets, he proceeded to spend hundreds of thousands to build private runways beside his multiple palaces so that he didn't have to travel too far before takeoff. Cars and battery-powered bikes are few and far between away from the capital. Most North Koreans have little or zero access to motorized means of transport, and are limited to using bicycles and ox or horse-drawn carts to get around or transport goods. Kim Jong-un's father Kim Jong-il once claimed to have sunk 11 hole-in-ones during an outing on one of his courses. Kim Jong-un has carried on his father's legacy of maintaining top-quality private golf courses. This hobby doesn't come cheap. The average full-sized golf course costs about $3 million, £2.3 million, to develop and $500,000, £387,892, each year to keep running. Kim seems to be rather fond of unleashing his inner child, commissioning the development of the Pyongyang Amusement Park and the Munsu Water Park. However, once the Pyongyang attraction was completed, news reports claimed that Kim slammed the park as being pathetic and pitiful when he did his inspection, regardless of the estimated $100 million, £77.6 million, price tag attached to it. Away from the capital, the few who are lucky enough to have electricity installed in their homes receive a very limited, intermittent supply. Blackouts are extremely common and many people in rural areas rely on candlelight after dark. Whether it's basketball, horseback riding, or golf, Kim Jong-un is quite the sports fanatic. His favorite team is reportedly the Harlem Globetrotters, so naturally he had them visit the country to have them play for him. The amount paid to the team for their appearance isn't known, but it's bound to be noteworthy. Being the equine enthusiast he is, Kim doesn't skimp on the funds he throws into the training facilities and upkeep of his thoroughbred horses. Shockingly, it's reported that 20% of the state's budget is spent on the upkeep of the animals and their facilities. This is a huge amount considering the nation's last publicly shared budget was a mere $62 million, £48.1 million, back in 2008. Away from Pyongyang, sports are low down on the list of priorities for most people, who are more likely to be concerned with getting enough food to eat or stockpiling enough firewood to avoid freezing to death in the country's harsh winters.